Hi, thanks so much for joining. This is our second podcast for She is Excellence. I'm so excited today to have Adam Siddiq with me. Adam is the host of the Soulfully Optimized Life podcast, and he's a published writer who's been frequently featured on the Huffington Post and other major publications. He runs Awaken Brand, which is a full-service digital agency for entrepreneurs and businesses that want to change the world. His greatest focus has been on his soon-to-be published nonfiction book, Shackled, which tells the story of his grandfather going through 20 years of political prison starting at the age of 6. So Adam, thank you so much for being here. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Carrie. Happy holidays to yourself.
Yes. So I am super excited on a couple of different fronts to be able to do this. And I know you and I have had a relationship through social media for a couple of years now. And we happened to be at a similar event a couple of years ago. And I don't recall meeting you. I know you and I have a mutual friend, Glenn. Yeah. And there was a picture taken at an event. And I'll let you perhaps share a little bit more about that. You actually wrote an article about the experience. And a friend of mine passed it to me and was sharing in terms of what you wrote, what it's meant to be involved with Tony Robbins and a few of your other mentors and sponsors in your life. So that's how long our world has passed, I guess, in the last 3 or 4 years. So this is wonderful that we're actually connecting here online together.
Absolutely. Maybe one day it'll even be in person instead of visual age.
I'm sure it will be. It will be. Well, listen, the mission behind She is Excellence, it's one that focuses on wanting to create more entrepreneurship, specifically with female millennials, but I want it to be really clear. It's to help men and women of all ages. And in particular, what I wanted to create was a living legacy between what I've experienced in life. I'm now in my 40s, and thinking about the people and the shoulders that I stood on when I was starting in my career. And for a long time, for more than 20 years, I was an entrepreneur. I created businesses for businesses. And I made the decision a few months ago to quit that corporate life and to step into a new opportunity to really take my skills to the next level. So to keep growing and to take action in a way that I could pay it forward. So in doing so, I'd like to help young women who were once like me, and in terms of wanting to make a difference, and I'd like to create an effect behind that. So I'm really excited that I can have you join my show here in terms of talking about who I think are game changers, people who are committed to changing the world. And so I'm just going to go ahead and pause for a minute and let you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you believe in, and what's your mission.
Totally. Wow. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say I love the name She is Excellence. And it just brings up this quote from Rumi. Rumi said, "Woman is the light of God." And it's just, I just thought you'd like that. But
I do. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a cool. Yeah, it just rang to me right away. So in terms of me, what I believe in, what's my mission? Let me start backwards with what's my mission. If I was to just state my mission statement in just a single sentence, I'd say that my mission is to do everything I can to support the evolution of humanity. And that's what I love. That's what I live for. Evolution, growth, just helping us all prosper in every area of our lives. I would love to see a world where abundance and love is the baseline for the human experience. And that's what gets me. Everything else I do is just kind of a vehicle towards what I believe is a great way I could support. And it's just going to consistently evolve over time. So there's that. What I believe in. Good question. I believe in a lot of things. I believe we're all one. I believe we're all connected. I believe we're one big human family, although a little bit of a dysfunctional one right now, but we're still one big family.
Hey, dysfunctional is functional.
Yes. Yeah. life's a gift. It's a blessing. And I believe that, you know, life's the gift that we were given, and what we do with our lives is the gift that we give back to life. And I just think this whole experience is such a sacred thing. And you know, sometimes it could be easy to get caught up in things and forget the magic and miracles that happen every moment, like just our heart beating. But that's the stuff that I guess really touches me the most, just to focus on that. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of who I am, so when I like think of a question, I see like 20 answers. I'm like, which one do I want to pull? So wow, there's many ways I guess I could describe myself. You could say I'm a millennial. You could say I'm a first generation Afghan American. I'm a writer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a soccer player, not professional or anything, but I just like to play for fun. And I'm just passionate about life and doing whatever I can to best make this experience in this world the best place I can, and play my role in the major big song, the universe.
Yeah.
So
what's your mission behind the Soulfully Optimized Life?
Totally. You know, it started with me listening to podcasts, and you know, here I'm living in LA right now, and basically going anywhere takes about an hour with traffic. So it's quite a journey. And I used to always, like Tony says, net time, listen to stuff. So I had already listened to every Tony Robbins program at least 6 times. So it was time to change some stuff up. So I discovered the world of podcasts. And, you know, I found some pretty great ones early on, and just started listening. And I just thought to myself, well, you know what? I meet extraordinary people, you know, all the time, and we have amazing conversations. Why don't I just record them? We're going to have these conversations anyway, and make them public so it can benefit somebody's life, or whether it gives them advice, guidance, mentorship, or new ideas, or even just support through difficult times, whatever it is. Or maybe they just find, you know, other amazing mentors or resources to find through there. Because like I said something I really liked early on about standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, and that's something that I think is really important, really valuable. And I think, not trying to bash my generation, but I think we're the first generation that hasn't really respected that as much. Not as a full, like everybody, but just, you know, some of us, hence some of the reputations we've gained. But my life, anything I've ever achieved, anything I've ever had access to in my life is because somebody else before me did something, made something easier, left some information, and saved me years and years of time, which I found through, you know, a lot of books and going to seminars and stuff like this. So that's something that I always felt really grateful for, and always wanted to pay forward however I can. So I just figured starting the podcast would be a great way to do that. I'm having these great convos, and, you know, maybe it could help change someone's life along the way.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And so just to tap into what you were talking about in terms of standing on the shoulders of people, you know, one of the things that I've always felt in my life was, especially early in life, was, you know, if I could know that one person that inspired me also believed in me, that's all I needed. And then I realized how blessed I was in life, because I was surrounded by people who inspired me and also believed in me. And I share that as something that even in foundations and work that I choose to be a part of now, it has that premise of the power of belief, the power of proximity, the power of now. And again, these are all wonderful books you can read too. So this isn't something I've created. This is just things I believe in. So Adam, tell me, who believes in you?
Well, first answer I'd say is my family, my friends, mentors. Definitely. I mean, I think for me, it's always just initially started with family. You know, and my dad and my mom and my grandparents. A lot of support, you know, growing up, and like we were talking a little bit earlier before we recorded about the value of mistakes.
Yes.
I do a lot of things instinctually, oftentimes before thinking through. So sometimes you're prone to more mistakes with that approach to life. But I guess I've made it work somehow. At least, you know, the family's always been there for me during my, you know, toughest times and mistakes, and just always encouraged me. So that's really who I owe a huge amount of love and support to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And as much as you want to share, since you haven't published the book yet, but anything that you'd want to highlight in terms of your grandfather and his story, and how has that influenced, shaped, or how does it inspire you every day?
Absolutely. Great question. So I was 6 years old when I first found out what had happened to my grandparents, my grandpa and my grandma, and also a lot of family members in that mix. I was 6 years old, and I was in the living room, and they were talking about the story. And it's when I found out when my grandpa was 6 years old, he was politically imprisoned. My great-grandfather, his uncle, was executed about 30 minutes beforehand. And, you know, a lot of his family members were, all the older boys, anyone who was a teenager or above, they were executed. Or a lot of them died of tuberculosis, some sort of disease from being in really insanitary conditions. And he lived, you know, 20 years of his life in prison, but he's always been just this very kind, joyful, humorous kind of guy. He's 90 right now, and his number one goal in life is to dance cha-cha-cha with Jennifer Lopez.
So Jennifer Lopez is coming to Miami for New Year's, so maybe you should bring your your grandfather here.
I may have to, yeah. It's, you know, I'm just impressed because he embodies so many pure characteristics of humanity, and he named me Adam. Is not a normal name for coming from an Afghan culture heritage,
right.
And my name in Farsi is Adam, which translates to human, and he named me human because he said, you know what, through my life, I see a lot of people, but I didn't meet a lot of humans, and I want more humans to be in the world. So I'm naming this boy Humans. And of course, like his brothers and cousins teased him and said, you named him Human? What are we, donkeys? But, you know, I've always had a very close bond with my grandpa. And so, yeah, we've been writing the book for quite a while now. I really started interviewing him about it when after my other grandfather passed away, which it really just shocked me to be like, okay, I really got to be with my grandparents. I want to learn as much as I can from them and hear their stories, just learn about where I originate from. And in that process, which has been a few years now, we're currently on the 8th round of edits of this book. And planned publication right now is February 22nd. But it chronicles just this 20-year period there, and just a lot of just unwritten, totally forgotten history that happened in Afghanistan. For instance, both my great grandfathers, they were working with the king at the time, who this king had basically radically developed Afghanistan and integrated Western ideals, principles, and relationships, and was trying to make the country like, integrated with the rest of the world rather than just kind of being this constant monarchy that it's been for centuries. Mm-hmm. And they were making great progress. In a nutshell, these characters still exist today with different names, but back then, a group of anti-Western extremists formed a rebel army and wanted to get rid of the king because he was integrating Western principles and relationships, caused a civil war. And during that time, somebody who was working with the king and my great-grandfathers, he basically got an army with my great-grandpa's financial support and connections, overthrew the rebel army leader, but then turned around and said, "It's my kingdom now. It's my way, the highway," and then just kind of took over like a dictatorial way. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of tells a lot of history in there. But the main thing is that it's my grandpa's life story reminds me. I know this might sound biased because it's my grandpa, but it's kind of like a combo of Man's Search for Meaning, Nelson Mandela's life story, and The Kite Runner. It's just kind of the way I've described the way the book's like. And he, during these 20 years, which was a really dark time, he actually learned a number of languages, reading, writing, speaking, 6 languages, and he found joy in this place by focusing on learning, developing himself and making progress every day. By the time he was 14 and he was transferred to the adult prison, he was overjoyed to know that all his cellmates were the most intelligent people in the country because the ruling regime jailed them. They saw him as a threat. So he was learning like metaphysics and medicine and all this stuff as a 14-year-old. He's got all these textbooks, and he actually learned business and entrepreneurship in jail of all places. Wow. So it's if anyone ever wants to read a book, a true story, someone who's alive right now who has gone through some horrific times and didn't let that break him down, but let him shape him so he can just be a better human for the world, I would recommend checking out this book.
It's wonderful. And when will this be coming out? Soon?
Yeah,
2017?
So right now, 2017, February 22nd is the current date. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and in terms of, you said, how has he influenced my life? Yeah. I was 6 years old, and I kind of made I don't know if it was a conscious or unconscious decision, but you're 6 years old. I don't know how consciously we make our decisions. I made a decision when I heard his story that I have no problems. Mm-hmm. And I said, if this is what my grandpa went through, and he's sitting here and he's smiling and he's laughing and he's having a great time, and he's not even dwelling on this for a second. We're talking about 20 years in prison, not to mention, all the restrictions he had afterwards, and losing everything multiple times. I said, I have problems. I don't have to, there's no point for me to dwell on the problem. So kind of as a kid, it got me really focused on solutions. And I know that we both went to Date with Destiny. Mm-hmm. Tony does the hat exercises with the different tiers of, the different levels of consciousness from Spiral Dynamics. And we were talking about like, where do you drop to when you get under stress? Mm-hmm. I was, I just went my 3rd date with Destiny, and I was always wondering like, well, where do I really drop to? Until, I had this incident with the apartment caught fire. Yeah. I realized, holy crap, because of what I heard when I was 6 years old, I just think right away, like, what's the solution? What can we do about this? What can we resolve this? And was because my grandpa influenced me as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's an excellent point, and in the context of what you and I have a similar mission in terms of being entrepreneurs and wanting to sponsor more entrepreneurship, being prepared for the crap factor, which is when that happens, what do you do and how do you react to it? That's really when character steps forward. And character is really shaped by the people who are around us when we grow up. So no surprise the influence your grandfathers had on you, which is beautiful. And it's the holiday time, but I always remind myself now, gratitude and saying Thanksgiving should be a daily thing, not just November and December. So I do want to compliment you. I think we talked about this before the video started, but here you are having this call with me when 2 days ago your apartment caught on fire and you transitioned and done all of this. And not once did you contact me and say, hey, can we reschedule or anything? You kept your commitment. And Adam, that's character. I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you. I have one more Rumi quote to add with that gratitude I thought you'd like. It says, gratitude is the wine for the soul. Go on and get drunk.
I like that. I like that so much. Yeah. Well, one of the things that you and I talked about that we thought would be good to share with the audience is as much as it's great when we have success or when we have triumph, we often learn the most when we screw up, make a mistake. And there are quite a few female millennial entrepreneurs out there that I really admire, and a few of them talk about how their parents raised them to ask them, what mistake did you make today? Or what mistake did you make this week and learn from? So I wanted to ask you that question. What do you think about mistakes, and what's some of the greatest ones you've had that you now live a higher code or standard because of?
Yeah. A few things there. First, I just think of that quote of Tony says all the time is when we succeed, we party. When we fail, we ponder. And anything great really came from pondering. Any new invention, any new innovation always comes from pondering. I think mistakes have gotten a bad reputation over the years. I don't know when it started, but it's. I don't know if. I just think mistakes are just part of the learning experience. I don't think someone is wrong if they make a mistake or if it makes them less than or anything like that. It's just part of what develops ourselves, and we learn from it. Obviously, I'm sure that the first caveman accidentally touched the fire multiple times before realizing, don't touch the fire.
Yeah. Or maybe he liked the pain. I don't know.
Yes. There's all sorts of interesting desires these days.
Yeah.
I think mistakes can be a measurement, per se, to see how willing we are to try new things, experiment with new things, and how willing or how courageous we are in being able to embrace the quote-unquote failure. I think, I think failure has also got a bad reputation. Anyone who's successful realistically has probably failed more times than they've succeeded, but they got, their hard work, their focus, their energy has created the golden goose, but that golden goose didn't just fall from the heavens. There's a rare case where maybe it did, but most of the time it's not that. It's not the case. I think I just interviewed the founder of a company called Travel Pirates. Have you heard of them? Mm-hmm. They're the world's largest travel company on Facebook, but they don't own any airplanes. They don't own. All they do is basically post incredible deals for flights and vacation packages. And oftentimes they kind of manufacture their own ones. So it's I found a flight from them. I think this summer it was $140 or $170 one way ticket, business class to Germany. It's ridiculous deals. They kind of post this kind of stuff. When I asked the founder, it's a huge company now, like over 8 million followers or whatever, and they get 350,000 hits on their blog a day just for their US blog, like 12 other ones. I asked them if there was anything you wanted to share with entrepreneurs who want to make a difference in the world. What would it be? What's the biggest lesson you learned in all your years of growing this company from a team of 2 with 0 venture capital to a team of 160 globally, biggest travel company? Expedia literally had some beef with them because they're like, "How'd you get bigger than us?" And he said this. He said, "Just keep trying things. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. You got to be willing to try many things and try over and over again until you can succeed. Otherwise, just inability to take action is never going to really get you anywhere." Mm-hmm. So that's his word, and he's done something phenomenal. So I feel I'd say the same thing.
Excellent. You raise a really good point that I wanted to make sure we touched upon in this interview.
Yeah.
What do you think are the core aspects of what it means to be a mission-based entrepreneur? And I'll give one little caveat to it. An entrepreneur means you make money.
Yes, totally.
So there's no problem with capitalism here. No. So,
yeah, great question.
Abundance is inclusive of money.
I can't remember who said this, but I heard it. They said, like, they were talking to people, and all these people were, complaining about capitalism, and they said, "Guys, capitalism is the most generous system out there. You have to create products or services that other people want and need in order to get anything. It's like you have to be focused on others, users first, customers first, right?"
Right.
What does it take to be a mission-based entrepreneur? What are the core characteristics? Well, one, for an entrepreneur to succeed in today's world, you do have to create something that people want and need. I think too often, actually, I read somewhere, I don't know who did this study, but startups are like a hot new thing these days. Like everyone wants to start a startup. So people saw the social network and now they want to build the next Facebook. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, like, maybe it's like 99% of startups fail, and the 96% of them fail. 96% of all startups that fail because they didn't do proper market research and they did not create a product or service that people wanted and needed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one key thing. It's easy. It can be easy to fall in love with what we think the world wants or how we think we can change the world. And I think the perfect intersection is when we can see what we love creating, we can see what people want and need, and we can see how it's going to make people's lives better. We don't have to necessarily create something we don't have to create Facebook to change the world, and we don't have to create something of that caliber. You can run a small business and make a huge impact on people's lives, and everything matters, everything counts. But I think it's really important to do proper market research, like, all the time. I don't think that should ever end. Mm-hmm. To know what it is, what your quote unquote gifts are. And that might not be the product or the service, that might be the way you go about giving them or creating it. And find that overlap on how you can make the world a better place by giving people what they want, what they need, in your own way that all intersects. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, you can create profits. You can do that, and I think these are just some key principles.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent. So, one of the things that's a real passion point for me is culture. Yeah. And again, as a part of my experience of being in the corporate world, some of the challenges that you can have if you would attempt to focus on culture is that it was the softer, touchy side. it's something that's in between human resources and marketing, or maybe nowhere. And the temptation is there, and I don't want to penalize too much the corporate culture, but in corporates or businesses, wherever, the temptation is to focus on the products, making money, and other things. And, my premise is, and again, I share this with a lot of really successful, smart people, is it's culture first. And I truly believe culture begins with you and how you show up in the world, how you get up each day, and how you structure your time, how you look at what you think is your mission, your dharma in the world. Why am I here? What am I to deliver today, this week, this month? So I'm just curious for you, as you think about your life as a millennial, your cultural background, which you've shared a bit about, what does culture mean to you, and how do you want to shape the world with the culture you come from?
Mm-hmm. Great question. What does culture mean to me? So, I think that culture represents, I think of it in so many different ways. It's like, I just almost spaced out and I saw, never mind, I'll leave that out.
No judgment, just stream of consciousness.
Yeah. I just see, I guess the way I imagine life, at least our planet, is, I think we're all cells of an organ called humanity on a body called Earth, which Earth is a cell in the universe, or an organ in the solar system. I just, we're all connected. And I think culture is a beautiful thing. It's like the biodiversity that we all, I guess, exude, but within that biodiversity, there's just a unity, or like a glue that puts us all together. Mm-hmm. And I think every culture, there's like an identity behind it. There's not saying like everyone necessarily conforms to it. There's just kind of like a baseline of an identity. There's like a certain energy and a feel to it, and in every way. So whether we're talking about cultural heritages, and the way they go about living life and stuff, and there's like a narrative or a story in the culture, and then maybe smaller, sometimes bigger than other cultures, is like corporate culture. What's the vibe, I guess, of the company, the office, the way they go about living things. And culture, it's been there since the dawn of humanity. I think culture and community is actually what made us humanity.
Yes.
And, I think it's, in the grand picture, it was like our greatest, I guess, skill to thrive on the planet and develop everything we did. No one ever did anything just by themselves. So in terms of culture, my perspective is, I think every culture, wherever your culture is from, to value it, to appreciate it, to learn about it, to know it, and at the same time, to see how we can take it to the next level and build on and amp up the energy, integrate more, develop more. That's just my thoughts on culture. I don't know if there's anything else you're looking for out of it.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. It's just just the idea of, as I was reading and learning a little bit more about you, I noticed I'm a big YouTube fan. I'm a huge TED Talk fan and many other things. But this morning I watched I think it's like a 3-minute video that you made last year, December of 2015, called Let's Make the Future Bright. And that was really nice. And it was very clear to me, you had 3 points where you talked about discovery and finding clarity and taking action. And, for me, so much of the taking action piece is the honoring of ourselves inside culture, which is how we coexist, the ethos that we choose, these little mini ecosystems that we're creating, and technology is connecting it together at a level that we've never been in a community or society that's been so connected, yet so disconnected. And I choose to look at the positive, that we are incredibly connected because we are energetically connected. So that's more of the things that I want to plant to seed with you, because you're an amazing writer, is us talking about culture as a form of humanity, and that we all think and come from a different place, even inside of our own families, right?
Yes.
Even though we come from the same blood gene pool, we can look dramatically different. And,
totally.
And that, I think that's, whether it's God or whatever you choose to believe as a higher source, it's God's sense of humor. It's a higher source's sense of humor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. It's like that saying, God doesn't watch reality TV, he watches the Comedy Channel.
Definitely. So, we're kind of rounding out in terms of the interview and some of the things that we talked about. As you think about 2017, again, just because you're such an action-oriented person, as well as you have such wonderful thoughts of inspiration. For millennials and millennial entrepreneurs, what are the things that you'd want to share with them in terms of, as they're facing their challenge of wherever they might be in their business or their execution, or they're even afraid right now to even talk about this business idea they might have in mind?
Yeah. So I'll break down the answer into two areas. People who have not yet started their business and they have the idea, and then people who have their business wherever they're at. So for millennial entrepreneurs who want to start their own business and have not yet done so, there's never been a time in history where it's been easier, cheaper, and faster to get your business up and running, no matter what you're doing. And if you just know you want to own your own business, but you don't know what you want to do, there's a world of options of different things that you can do, all to, things that, I heard this quote, and I can't remember who said it. He said that, it might have been Gary Vaynerchuk. He said, I believe that you get passionate about things that you're good at. So start figuring out what you're good at and get better at it, and the passion is just going to kick in. You don't necessarily have to just sit around and find your passion or whatever the case is. So I just encourage, just look out and find all these options. There's so many different things. Do you want to create physical products that are going to add more value to people's lives and whatever it is? Are you an artist? Is there an art that you want to develop? There's that book, Michael Gerber's E-Myth, I think it's a great read for anybody who hasn't read it yet. Discover who you are in a business. Are you the entrepreneur? Are you the artist? Are you the manager? Because if you're living incongruent with where your true nature is in business, it's always going to be some sort of stress or tension. You're not going to feel totally free, liberated, and alive in what you do. I know I'm kind of jumping around. So one is, I just say, just start instantly, just start ASAP. And I'm pretty sure that any kind of platform, be it an e-commerce platform or maybe like a web or app development platform or whatever it is, blogging platforms, or I'm pretty sure they all have some pretty crazy deals going on right now because they want more people to get started and create businesses on their platform. So I would just go do it. Do whatever it is you want, and just commit. Don't just give up if you don't see any sales or see anything happen within the first month. Follow through with it. Always learn, keep tweaking. YouTube is a super underrated source of information. You can find probably the answer to 99% of anything you want to ask on YouTube or Google or podcasts. So just immerse yourself in that. You know, business is not like, I know Tim Ferriss has the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, but if you want to build anything amazing, you're not going to work a 4-hour work week. And when you get really good at what you do, or you love what you do, you also don't want to work for only 4 hours a week. It kind of just becomes, you know, a huge part of your life. In terms of people who have businesses, they're millennials. I think I have two notes actually, but the last one's something separate. I believe in collaboration over competition.
Yes.
There's we don't need to live in a dog-eat-dog world. That worked for a certain period of time, and I don't believe it works in today's world, and it's not going to help us get to the next level of humanity. It's not going to, you know, collaborate. I think the best thing, like if they feel stuck in their business and don't feel like they're getting more growth, or I don't know, they're not getting any more hits on their website, or they're not getting as many sales, or whatever it is that they're doing with purpose, collaborate with other people. They don't have to be like the world's biggest people. You know, you have a book, you don't need to get Tony Robbins to write the foreword. Find someone, you know, who's aligned with you. Instagram's a really amazing way to find people, even Facebook as well, or just join some mastermind groups, even if it's online, and just start connecting, collaborating, find strategic opportunities for both of you to come together, share your gifts, and light up the world with more joy, love, abundance, whatever it is that you're creating. And my last note is actually, I want to reference back to people who don't have a business yet, or who do and might not feel fully fulfilled and alive in it and want to do something quote unquote bigger. I interviewed a man named Paul Polak a while ago, and Paul is, the way I define Paul, he's like the godfather of social entrepreneurship to me. There are 2.7 billion people, over 2.7 billion people in the world today that live on less than $2 a day. And the amount of people that live in that kind of poverty today is more than the entire human population in 1950. And Paul's whole take is, hey, let's help people move out of poverty. You know, charity works, but only works so much. And with the tons and tons of money that have gone to many charitable organizations, he's like, I don't think it's made the biggest difference in terms of helping these people move out of poverty. So Paul did some experiments that turned into very successful social ventures with social entrepreneurship, which he created off of a single product he created. He helped, I think it was over 20 million farmers move out of poverty. And it was some ridiculous, huge number of yearly net income that he helped add into their lives because of this innovative product. It's huge, and it really makes a difference in all these people's lives, and we can help, you know, lift up and support our fellow brothers, sisters, cousins. I mean, everyone at least is our cousin. The most distant person in the world, I think, is our 50th cousin, according to geneticists. And I'll definitely encourage people to look into what Paul Polak has written. He made it really simple, and it's not like you need to have some MBA to get started. If you can just go to, you know, a country where you want to create a social venture that can help these people, create profits for them and for yourself, and make the world a better place, then, you know, just go there and literally meet with them, learn what's going on, and see what you can find that can help, you know, improve their life. So that's kind of my main notes that I would say. I personally would love to see, I can't fully give the full disclosure yet, but I'm working with a co-founder on something and a solution on this kind of realm with what Paul's suggesting. But I personally would love to see more social entrepreneurs step up and, you know, help people at massive batches, creating radically affordable and innovative products and services.
Right. Well, one thing that I will say as a Gen Xer is that I was radically inspired by millennials, and I feel I feel so fortunate that someone taught me a long time ago to be a sponsor of talent and to be willing to share and help others. So in the 20 plus years that I worked in the corporate environment, I worked in those ways in terms of sponsoring and working with people and helping them with their careers. And when it came to this point in time when I could have continued on just doing what I was doing, and I don't want to minimize what I was doing, but it wasn't a source of inspiration for me. It was absolutely the millennial mindset that inspired me that collaboration and community matters and that we can change the world. So Adam, to you and to anyone like me or to another millennial out there that hasn't started their business yet, I would say don't wait for someone to do it yourself.
Yes.
And if you rub elbows like how you and I are doing, all of a sudden, now you and I are doing things together, and who knows, maybe you and I will be doing something together in person in 2017, which would be exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And hey, if we have the big guy here too, that wouldn't be bad either. So
that would be nice, yeah, absolutely.
And you and I know what I mean by the big guy.
Yes.
But that being said, I know we're right at about 45 minutes. So Adam, I want to make sure we promote your website is adamsiddiq.com. You are most definitely soulfully optimized, and you're absolutely an inspiration, and you are a beautiful example of humanity. And I am so glad we got to do this, and I will continue to follow what you write and what you publish, because you do inspire me. And I wish you safety as you get your apartment settled. Thank you again for being here, and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Really, really appreciate this opportunity. It was great to finally meet with some FaceTime, and I look forward to more amazingness.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Adam.
Bye-bye.